Oh,
It's not on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, Sam. Hi. I think we're live, but maybe go check it. It's delayed.
we're
Will and
live.
Sam here. We're going to wait a second for everyone to come in. I am at the board. I will be running this show. Mute it. There we go. Let us know if you're here, if I sound good, if Sam sounds good. Sam, how are you doing? Can you see us?
Oh, I feel like we have a lot of updates.
We have a lot. Between the two of us, what we've been doing for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I feel like we got some things to...
Shutterbug Denise, you're live. We are. Thank you. Becky, welcome. So happy to be here on YouTube. I'm awake. You're awake. We're caught up on sleep. Let us know where you're watching from. Sam, where are you in the world?
Back home finally. Should I just do like a 2-minute breakdown of everything?
I don't know. I just want to know where you were calling from.
I'm back in my home
You're-
in California.
You're in Northern California. I'm in Southern California. Yes. Before we get into photo and friends and photography, let's update everybody. What have you been doing? Yeah.
Well, and I'm gonna post some photos on the Photo and Friends website. I'm just getting approval first from the organization I was working with, but I don't want to like share stuff there. But I was out in Nepal working with this wonderful organization called Gravity Water. They build gravity fed water systems that filter rainwater and help rural schools in different parts of the world. And I was out there for a couple of weeks doing that project, both film and photo, and then had a couple days off and went to Thailand, and then was supposed to go to Micronesia, and made it as far as Guam right before the super typhoon Marwar hit Guam. And it was initially a tropical storm, and the team was like, oh yeah, just go there, we'll come the next day. And then it just got really crazy, and so everyone's flights were canceled except mine. So I got to hang out for a week on Guam post super typhoon with
what did
no
you do
running
in
water,
Guam? Did
no
you
electricity.
were you able to go outside and take photos or like do anything?
I was just in like the airport hotel, so I was kind of in like the touristy zone.
Rough.
There was no restaurants were open. They advised not going in the water because of all the runoff from the storm was in
How
the
did you
water.
eat?
I ate a lot of ramen, I ate a lot of just like packaged food, essentially. Lots of chips, whatever I could find at the convenience stores, essentially.
My God.
After a couple of days, was able to get into the neighboring hotel that had actual like hot food and stuff, but yeah, it was quite the experience. So yeah, that was kind of what my life's been, and then my trip got fully canceled, and the other projects got fully postponed. So we are gonna do that later. But now I'm home and gonna just get going on all this stuff and take some photos.
Where are the sound effects are back? Because I'm running for it. Greg just asked for that.
Yeah, but how about you, man?
That's great. I mean,
We're both. I'm on Asia time zone, and you're on Europe time zone, right?
yeah, I'm on Italy time zone. Although I feel like I don't know. I feel like I like did a good thing last night and slept for a long time, and I stayed up as much as I could. But yesterday I was awake for about 24 hours, which I haven't done since I was like, 22 maybe. But no, I went to Italy, Sicily specifically, to go take photos at a wedding for one of our students. His name is Gianluca, and you may have seen him in our Photography and Friends Plus community. And if you don't know what that is, go to photographyandfriends.com, I think /plus. We have an online community where it's just us photographers, and it's mostly people that have taken our class. And it's a place where we can share and talk to each other about our photography. You can also support us by joining the supporters group for $5 a month, I believe. And I think the entire group, we're up to about 630 people. which is nothing compared to the Facebook group, which is where maybe you're coming from, which is up to I think close to 90,000 people at this point through our video school and stuff. But
think it's over 100. I think it hit 100.
did it hit 100? Whoa.
I think so. Yeah.
Anyway, Gianluca is a student. He's taken our master photography class. He messaged me over the supporters section in Photography and Friends Plus community and asked if he could hire me to come shoot his wedding. So I went to Italy, to Sicily, to take photos of his wedding, which I will post at some point and share with all of you, especially if you have taken the wedding photography boot course. That boot camp is still closed. But we might do another wedding one at some point in the next couple months. Let's see. And as a surprise, and I think I saw her there a second ago, Very, who is also a student of ours and is watching, surprised me because she is Italian and Gianluca and her became friends through our community and she was out there. So it was kind of like a first actual, meetup of Photography and Friends in like human form. And I have lots of photos to share, so I will. Let's see what else. That's about it. And then I spent time hanging out with Very and her boyfriend on the island of Sicily. I went to Cefalù, did a lot of street photography, which was fun. I don't normally do that, but Very got me to do that with her XT4. Let's see what else. Yeah, and then I flew back here. I was really only in Europe for a week. Not even, because if you count the flying days, maybe like 5 or 6 days. But they are 9 hours ahead of us. And what are you right now? You're like,
I'm 17 hours ahead. So,
but the other way.
no, the same way actually.
Oh, right. Because it's resets somewhere over by Guam somewhere, right?
Well, Hawaii is the latest and New Zealand's the earliest. So I was,
full cycle.
Full cycle. Yeah.
How went the wedding photography session? The wedding photography session went great. It was weird shooting a culture's wedding that I'm not used to, if that makes any sense. Like, it was very similar wedding ceremony, but a little different. So that was fun getting used to. And the language barrier was a little bit rough.
Did you not have like those audio cues that normally it's like, they say like, okay, everyone rise for the bride, and you're just like, and then people stand, you're like, what? Like,
totally. Like I was actually keeping an eye on like there's a Italian videographers too, and I was trying to keep an eye on them, but even them, and maybe it's just because I've done a lot of weddings, but like I have very specific places I like to be during a wedding, and they were not going, and so I would freak out because I thought the first kiss was coming, and then I would run over, and then it wasn't, and then I'd run over, and so like it was just all in Italian, so I didn't quite understand or know. But I think because it was such a small outdoor midday wedding, I was able to, get what I needed to get, which was nice. I think it was I had more trouble posing the bride a little bit because she was shy like most brides, but also just like normally I'm like firing off like, stand here, put your head here, like turn this way. How you doing? How are you feeling? Like I like to connect too. And so that was a little bit of a challenge, but the photos still came out. I mean, we were like out at this villa in the middle of Sicily. Like it's pretty hard to like not come away with like really beautiful photos.
The photos you shared were gorgeous, man. I mean, I think once you share, everyone will be excited to see, but it is, weddings, people are dressed up. They look so good, typically in beautiful places, but having the backdrop of the Sicilian island is definitely, it is gorgeous. But yeah, it's an interesting concept, working with a subject with the language barrier and trying to. I know your little tricks of getting people to smile and different things that you say. That all goes out the door.
It went completely out the window. So there were some people that spoke English, but also like I think I was like mimicking and making faces a lot. Where I was like, oh, like here, look this way, like that kind of stuff. So that was nice. And then also it was a challenge, and I want to ask you about this after I talk about it. But it was a challenge for me taking pared down equipment with me because
what did you go with?
I ended up taking. So I had my main camera, the SL2S, the 24-70, which is what I lived on pretty much most of the time. And the only other lens I took was the 85, and even that was I really didn't use much.
Mm,
And then on top of that, I took the Leica Q2, of course. So I had both cameras, 24 to 70, and then the Leica Q2 with the 28.
yeah.
And so between those two, it was fine. I didn't take a flash because it was an outdoor midday wedding. I didn't
Hmm.
take a 70 to 200, and I didn't bring the A7R, which I have been doing as like a backup camera.
Right.
So I was flying light, and really like it worked out great. Like it
Yeah.
was easy to just move around and take those photos. And I don't know, I really do. And I know you hate this, what I'm about to say, but the 24 to 70, like a quality 24 to 70 will go a long, long, long way at an event like that.
Absolutely.
And I think it
Absolutely.
looks great. So,
Listen, the 2470 is universally, if you're
but
gonna
like
get
a good one.
if you're gonna take photos at an event and you're gonna pick a single lens, the 2470 is the most practical and probably most versatile and probably most used lens there is. Full stop. I mean that's just the case.
Okay, three blind elephant, full stop.
Did he say that?
All the time.
No. I haven't watched one of those in a long time. But
And
yeah, no, it's
you haven't,
yeah,
I have another question for you, but you haven't gone down the Q3 video rabbit hole yet?
no.
Well,
I mean, I know all the features and all the things of it. I think that's the best sensor made to date. Like when I shot on the M11, it's an amazing sensor.
mm.
Um, but
Well,
yeah,
what about you, man? Like, so you went to Nepal. You took some photos. You're waiting to get approved. You went to Guam, and I know you were stuck there. But in Nepal, the photos that you took, what did you use? How did you feel about your decisions that you took after we talked about it for months? And the new camera, how's it working out?
yeah. So oddly enough, in both Thailand, I was like, I'm taking time off, so I didn't actually take a single photo for all of Thailand, which was only a couple days. Um, in Nepal, though, it's hard. Well, I put it away, but so I have my film video kit. So for that, I had a 16 to 35 f4, which is like a really compact Sony lens that I love because it's so small.
Sure.
I'll use that 5% of the time. I just ended up living mainly on the 2470. Is documentary work, and this is for video, but for documentary work and all that, that was just the most practical lens to really use.
Hmm.
Um, and then I did bring the 70 to 200 as well with me. So I had those three lenses for video stuff. And I ended up actually taking photos with the FX3, which takes 10 megapixel stills. It's not a great photo camera necessarily, but
You took some stills with it.
I took some stills with it. And
They're
it's
fun.
for social media, for the
Yeah,
website,
they're
they're fine.
fine. Yeah.
And even if I
I
wanted to
love
print
that.
them,
Yeah.
like like I could.
Yeah.
Um, and just because of the moment and everything, and we had talked a lot about having a stills camera and having the video camera,
Sure.
and one being and them being different. Um, and with that, it was 90 degrees. It was hot in the sun. It was a lot of kids very curious about what I was doing.
Mm,
Very,
I bet.
took some time to warm up with the cameras. Um, and so, yeah, I had all that gear. And looking back on it, I was supposed to go to Ulithi. I was supposed to do this whole other project or to Micronesia. That didn't happen. If I just did Nepal, I would have brought the 70-200 and I would question the 16-35. Like 90% of the time I was on the 2470. The other camera I brought was the Hasselblad X2D with a 55 millimeter lens. Um, and that's all I brought. I didn't bring the Leica Q2, which I regretted because I love that camera and it's just so easy. But the Hasselblad, it worked out really great. It's a really slow camera, and so I had to sort of designate time to be just doing photography work. And for that, I think I got some really beautiful images I'm really excited about. Having 100 megapixels, I
Yeah.
can crop in on things. I can, I think delivering that to this nonprofit is going to be huge. Um, the kind of project it was I was making a documentary for Gravity Water, this nonprofit, but also providing stills for the website, for social media, for fundraising, all this kind of stuff. And it I don't know. I want to have a long conversation about this, but and I know this is photography and friends, and we're based on photography, but the hybrid photographer thing,
Yeah.
the debate of do you have a single camera or do you have two cameras, having one for stills and one for video, or having one camera that can do both. Um, I see both sides of it, and it's really interesting having a dedicated photo and dedicated video,
Okay.
and living with those two. Um, I think I got great shots. I do at times wish I had a zoom lens on it. I kind of miss it. I think the Hustle has a wonderful camera, but it's not a versatile camera. And for that work, I think having like the Sony A7R5 would have been a good B cam for me to
Sure.
have.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But you're limited in what you can carry. I mean, I think that's especially when you're
yeah,
moving around in countries like that.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so it was a great experience. I mean, I probably walked away with 20 photos. No, I exported 40 photos, but I think
Mm.
there's probably like 10 standout images I got, um, that are gorgeous, medium format, great photos.
Oh, I
I
can't
think if
wait to see them.
yeah, and I took maybe 100 photos though.
Yeah.
Now, had I been with the A7R5, I probably would have taken like 2,000
You
photos.
think it slowed you down that much?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
and I missed a few beautiful moments because I don't. That camera doesn't have eye detect, and that's the most frustrating thing in the world. Whereas I'm shooting video, and the FX3 is automatically locking onto
yeah, it's just
eyes.
doing it.
I'm
Yeah.
moving in and out, and it's staying perfect focus the entire time. And then I go to a camera that I have to back button autofocus with a centered autofocus thing, get the focus, then take the photo. It's just so much slower.
Are you using your eyepiece? Maybe you should be manually focusing.
I wasn't using the eyepiece that much.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
What time? So are you gonna?
I got into a rhythm with it, but I definitely missed having. And we've both shot film. We've both shot manual focus. We've both moved slower with photography, and I don't know. Maybe that's an obsolete way of shooting, and that nowadays you just have autofocus and it just locks onto the subject's eyes, and you don't think about that anymore.
Yeah.
You go that much faster, and
It's
especially
like
with documentary, it was
yeah.
tough. It's
I think
tough.
there's a balance of like it being like a lost art, and then like we don't need that anymore unless you're sacrificing for the camera. So like it's all personal preference, but um, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Like, sorry, I was reading the comments. We have some questions I want to answer, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like when you're in the moment and like it's more important that you're specific about the moments versus like I don't know the gear. That yeah, the autofocus is like really important, but at the same time, like balance of everything. Because those medium format images that you sent me from the Hazy, like whoa, like even and we can talk about this later, but like even the portrait that you took of me with it in our lighting course,
Mhm.
I've been using for a lot of stuff right now, including like a blog post. But it's every time I look at it, I'm like just it's just the quality of it is beyond what you can really get with a lot of different cameras, and taking it to a place like Nepal and in a community like that where that type of camera has probably never been used is worth it. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it 100% hasn't been using that when I was in rural Nepal, but
Yeah, like certain types of
it,
communities and folks deserve to be looked at through that kind of quality. It's just you dealing with the autofocus that you have to like figure out.
well,
I don't
that's a
know.
very real thing. Yeah, and that's what I don't know. I'm going to spend some time with, but it really is that delivering something for a client, and saying that you're going to come through and get a certain thing for them, um, versus, I mean, I don't know how many people here are doing like more street photography or documentary style photography, but it's frustrating to miss shots. and it
Yeah,
happened, part of
it's
the game.
very
But
frustrating.
what is the number? You know, if you miss 50% of your shots, is that okay? Because I think a lot of people with great autofocus, it's more like you miss 10% of your shots, probably. I missed, I don't know, 30%, 40%. Like there's a few images that are just fully out of focus. I'm like, that was such a wonderful moment. And it is not in focus because my focus was on the wall and not the person. And but then at the same time, I think if I'd gone out there as a photographer and not as a video filmmaker, it would have been a different thing. If I just spent all my
Yeah,
time focused on it. So, anyways, enough about that. I'll share the photos on Photo and Friends. Would love to know all of your thoughts.
yeah.
And I also, it's like the medium format thing. I kept looking at the images and like, there is a quality of medium format that I love. And I also wonder if that was just if that was on a Fuji X-T5, a crop sensor. Like, would anyone know?
Well,
Would
but does it matter? It's like what you feel you're expressing is.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely.
I don't know the. Uh,
Yeah,
I talked about this with Very when we were out shooting. Like she's got an XT4, and I
yeah,
was walking around with the Q3 and or Q2. Oh my god, the Q2, and it's because the Q3 is on my brain. The Q2, and I don't know. There was like some differences and some non-differences, but also like the size of it, the weight of it, how you operate with it, looking at the screen, looking down, like. But the image, you know, I don't know. I think it's up for discussion. There was a question earlier that came through my channel specifically. Let me see if I can find it. Did I favorite it? Yes. I'm going to see if I can do this. I don't know how Phil keeps track of all this stuff, but how do I drag this over? Yeah. I did it, Sam. Should you clap for me? Thank you. Will, have you ever tried an M11? Trying to decide between the M11 and the Q3. And reason I bring that up is because Sam literally just said earlier he thinks it's the best sensor ever made. I think the same sensor in both of them. However,
yeah,
the M11 is always going to be manual focus. The Q3 is both. And so I would tend to figure out what you're trying to do with photography. If you're just a street photographer, if you're a street photographer and you're moving around and you're willing to take the time to be slow and focus, I think the M11 is probably a superior camera because you can change lenses and you can get better lenses on it. However, the Q3, based on the Q2 that I've had and based on using the M11, is a insane camera and is also going to be great. But the autofocus is going to be wonderful if you want to use it for events and sporting stuff. You shoot from the hip and don't want to have to do manual focus. So, it's also like $6,000 cheaper. So,
yeah. I
uh,
I had the M11 for a little bit, and
why'd you?
it's a phenomenal camera. I mean, it is everything Leica is just gorgeously made. The M lenses are tiny, and they're some of the best glass ever made. Um, I think if I know street photographers that shoot only manual, they shoot at f8, and they take the most gorgeous images with that camera. I think the ergonomics of it are wonderful. It's so lightweight to travel with. It's a wonderful camera. Getting used to manual focus is an art form, and you'll be frustrated if you're not used to that, and it
Yeah,
takes time,
yeah,
undeniably. Um, like Will said, though, being able to switch out lenses, all that, wonderful. But one lens costs the same amount as the entire Q3. So if you're going to get the M11, which is an $8,000 camera, and then three lenses, it adds up. But the M11 and
quickly.
Q3, yeah, they share the same sensor, and I honestly like. I think the Q2, Q3, the Leica Q original is my favorite camera ever made. I think it's the best camera ever made.
Q2,
Like the Q series.
the
I
Q
love
series.
the
Yeah.
Leica Q. I'm glad they made it weather resistant with the Q2.
Oh, it's the Q not?
No,
Oof. Didn't know
no,
that.
no.
Nerds. Yeah.
Yeah. Q3 now has a new sensor. That's amazing. But the form factor, the concept, the quality of Leica, it's just a phenomenal camera for so many different situations.
Yeah.
You can use it as an event photographer. You can use it as a street photographer. You can
I do.
use it as a portrait. Some of my favorite portraits are from the Q. It's a 28 millimeter. I would
Hmm.
never tell someone to get a 28 millimeter to do portraits. I love the portraits from that camera. Um, but yeah. Also, if you're debating between those two cameras, you might have enough money that get the M11 now, get a lens, and then a little bit down the line, get a Q3 too. But anyways,
But if you don't have the
uh,
money, get the Q3. Uh, yeah, and I don't know
yeah,
if it's
the Q3 is a gateway into Leica, and it
mm.
will really show you how amazing that glass is, and that's just
Or
otherworld.
honestly, because the Q3 is coming out, the Q2 will probably drop in price, and there'll probably be some used ones unloading, and it is still a phenomenal camera. And I knew at some point you and I are gonna have this question, but eh, are you gonna upgrade to the Q3?
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Probably
am
not.
not. I am not. I have made
Yeah,
that decision. I am not. I'm not. The Q2 is still a fantastic camera. It's very good. And
the
honestly,
video specs are better for the Q3. You use it a lot as a second camera. It'll have L log.
yeah,
Anyways,
yeah, but like whatever. It doesn't have the internal recording, which is what I was like really hoping for. And I don't know, the screen is like fine. I kind of like the fact that the Q2 has no like it's just a rock solid one piece machined camera, and I don't know. I
yeah.
think I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe I will upgrade to the Q3 because the Q4 won't come out for 2 or 3 years, right? But if I were ever to upgrade to the Q3 at some point, I think I want to wait for there to be a reporter edition or
Right, special
something
edition.
some special edition cool thing if I'm going to spend that much money on upgrading. And that's not going to
Well,
come for another year.
right. I also think for you, in terms of your kit, you have things that are more pressing than
Yes.
another fixed focal length
The
camera.
the more
Like,
pressing camera is a second SL2 for weddings.
yeah,
That's
or
and
SL3.
SL3, right? It would be an SL3. SL2.2. But honestly, after shooting this wedding again, I always go back after I shoot a wedding and I go back and I look at my images for my SL2. I'm like, oh my god, this camera is with the Leica glass is just freaking wonderful. Like,
No.
I love it. It is my work photo camera. We have some questions. Should we answer some
Yeah,
questions?
we should not talk about Leica so much because we like to be
Yeah, that
more
question just
about
came in
the.
through my channel, and I feel like I've become this Leica person. Very and Gianluca were both telling me that they want me to be Leica representative. So
Yeah, dude, become a Leica ambassador.
yeah. Okay. I am doing tributes to my late parents. How do I do this? Here we go. This month it was certain da 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 da. I want a slideshow with music. What software can I use? This is more of a video question,
I
but
feel like, yeah, it is more video. I feel like if you're, I don't know if you're, Greg, if you're on Mac or PC, if you're on Mac, the Photos app, very easily, you just create an album. You can choose a song. It auto creates a slideshow. I did that for my grandmother's um, memorial service, and
same.
it was the easiest way to do that because I was collecting photos from a lot of different people. So I just made a shared album. They all shared with me in that shared album, and then I was able to just put it to music very, very seamlessly. Um, I don't know the PC or Windows equivalent of the Photos app.
Vista Vegas,
I feel like
maybe.
those are operating service or operating systems, but
Oh, we're terrible at Windows.
I'm
Uh,
sorry. But I have to believe that there's an
free.
equivalent
Yeah.
Photos. Another one, Google Photos. Oh,
PC, he says.
PC. Okay.
So Sam's gonna Google that. But yeah, I mean, I've created a lot of slideshows using Final Cut Pro back in the day, and then also Adobe Premiere. But Sam and I are pretty efficient at Adobe Premiere, so I wouldn't necessarily jump that because that learning curve is a little bit big. And iMovie or the free one that Sam's looking up for Windows or Google will probably be much easier for you and quicker and easier to ingest all different types of photos too. Once you start doing that in Premiere, it gets a little dicey.
If you use Google Photos, there is a pretty simple way that I just Googled on how to. Um, and you basically can on Google Photos again make a slide or make a folder of all the photos. Then there's an option to make slideshow. It looks like you can also use PowerPoint presentation, in which you can choose
Video editor.
audio, and have it just play in the background, and it's just a PowerPoint presentation. But um, yeah, sorry, we don't use PC, so I don't have like the direct how-to steps. But I think opposed to getting too into like a video editor application, I think something like a PowerPoint or Google Photos,
Oh, PowerPoint. I never thought about that.
yeah, it's going to do essentially the same thing. You just add all the media, and then it's just you can set the parameters of let the image be on the screen for 5 seconds and then switch.
Yeah. Here's another question. If I purchase Lightroom course from your website, will it link to my Udemy account? No.
No.
So the courses are actually separate because we offer a lifetime membership on videoschool.com. And by we, I mean Phil. But those are separate from the Udemy course. So you can go to Udemy and take it, and Udemy has infrastructure, and we have a TA there that like helps us with the assignments. And I'm not sure the pricing point might be different there, but you can get a lifetime membership at videoschool.com where you will get all our courses forever. So there's that. Also, the follow-up question here. What course covers lighting? We do cover it at a very, very base level in the master photography class, and I do cover it in the portrait class. We do different ways of covering it in general in some of our other courses, but we are releasing a lighting course, which a few of you have already started taking through our community, our online community at photographyandfriends.com/plus. And through there right now, we're offering it this month with a boot camp where I will be meeting with you every week. Oh, you can join now, Sam, that you're not on your thing.
Yeah, I'll be there for the whole thing.
Will you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, something just happened. But before I let that happen really quick, yes, there will be a boot camp thing where you will be able to join. It starts tomorrow, and we have them at varying times, so you may not be able to make all of them just to accommodate the world timing. So you can do that after this month of boot camps, where we'll have live video streams every week. We will be offering it on Udemy and on Video School, so it will become accessible to the main public. But for now, it's available at photoandfriendsplus.com. Also, check out this. Look at that. Look at that beautiful beard.
Hey,
What's up, Phil?
not much. Glad I could pop in.
Thanks for stopping by. I am running this like a boss.
I can't. I only see you. Is Sam there?
Sam's there. Why can't you
I'm
guys see?
here. Will doesn't know how to
Oh man.
in the preview screen show us to each other. He just
Oh yeah. Okay.
Can you hear him though?
Yeah, I can hear him, and I see him on the YouTube page now. But for the first like 10 seconds, I couldn't see him. So, but now I can see him.
How do you do
in,
that?
like the eCam settings. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Sam, why didn't you tell me?
Well, it doesn't matter when it's just you and me.
Well, Phil, how's it going? You want to talk, and I can figure that out for Sam so he can see you.
Yeah. Hold on. I think it's. Let me just see what the settings is.
Oh, anyway, we have a
just go up to eCam Live preferences, and then go to the interview settings or tab, and then go to guest view, and choose broadcast instead of post camera.
I see.
Hey, there it is.
Hey, Sam.
There it is.
Sorry, as resident old guy between the three of us, I'm gonna. Anyway, I was just pitching our photo lighting course. There's a question where to get it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to be on Udemy and our Video School website after the first month.
Yes,
usually how we do that.
Yep. So, but you guys should join the lighting boot camp, because everyone that does the boot camp loves them, or for the wedding one, and I think this one's going to be even cooler for more of a general audience because it's a skill that many people have asked for and is a little bit daunting, but I think you guys cover it really well. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I think speaking to a lot of people, like people are intimidated by artificial lighting, and I think Sam and I cover a lot of like very base level. Like this isn't an advanced lighting course. It's to get you into flash photography, strobe lighting, and how to control it in a controlled environment. And there's one lesson where I think we're outdoors, and so a lot of people have a style of using it with against the sun. So we go over that, but it's a very base, easy level for you to get into. And it
But I
sets
wouldn't say it's not advanced because you do
is
go into some more advanced setups than we've done
ever
before
done.
in
Sure.
our other classes. So,
I guess advanced in a sense like I'm not using multiple flashes at once.
yeah.
Advanced, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're still using off-camera strobes and professional equipment
I guess
alongside using the on-board stuff. But I think like there's a question here about how far would you ask your subject to stand when doing three-point lighting with the backdrop, depending on the size. And like those are the types of things we go over, but it's all, what we get into is a lot of like how close do you put a light and what does that do, and when you rotate it around what does that do, and like that's a big part of the course, because I don't know, I feel like I got a crash course doing that because I don't do a lot of strobe stuff, and it
yeah.
was like,
Sam,
oh, this is so eady, you
Sam
just
every
put up
time was
the
like,
light and
I'm learning so much.
yeah.
I was like, God, I'm tired of talking.
But
Man, well, I wasn't paying attention, but Sam, you're back in the States. The month of May went by pretty quick.
Yeah, I'd say it went by
really,
very quickly. Maybe not for Sam because he was in purgatory
Yeah.
in Guam. But yeah.
Yeah.
it was an exhausting month. But yeah, it was supposed to be longer. I just a
Oh, was
typhoon
it?
hit where I was supposed to go, and it
Yeah.
got shut down. So yeah,
Okay,
Wait,
maybe that's why it seemed shorter than I thought you were gonna be
I was supposed
gone.
to be gone another 3 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's why.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
sorry, I'm just going through questions. That was a question though, real quick to go back to that. The 3 point
Yeah.
lighting. I do go over the 3 point lighting in the course, and what Yuli's asking is the distance between the subject and the background, which is like a huge deal when you're talking about lighting and stuff. I would say at least 3 feet minimum to be. How many meters is that? 1 meter to be back from the background to the subject to help. But the more distance you can create from the subject and the background with lighting, the more it will fall off. It just depends on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to light the background? Are you trying to have a shadow on the background? Um, but that's something that we talk about in the course. Is it all matters, right? How far away the strobe is from your subject, how far the subject is from your backdrop, how far the camera is from your subject and your background and your light.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And there is, and we don't get into Photoshop stuff, but there is the option too of like if you only have
I do.
a backdrop that is, oh, you do, oh right, you did editing stuff, but if you only have a backdrop that's 4 feet wide, so you can only do sort of a headshot, and if you take an image where you're seeing off of the backdrop, so long as your subject has that backdrop behind them, you can fill it in Photoshop technically and like create a fake background. Um, but otherwise, it's just a matter of how far back can you get without showing the sides of the backdrop.
Yeah,
That's just how much space you're going to have.
no
Uh,
shadow. Just move them away as far as you can.
yeah.
But it's a balance with what lens you're using and stuff. And then someone asked about how to get into the boot camp Photo and Friends Plus community, which is in that website I posted earlier. Maybe someone will drop it in there again. Um,
Yeah, and if you go to, I'll post the link, photographyandfriends.com/lighting bootcamp. That takes you directly to the page. Let me see if I can. I don't know how to comment on this end now, but I'll post to the YouTube page. I
yeah,
guess.
normally when I'm in your position, Phil, I just use the YouTube page and I ignore Ecamm. But now I've got Ecamm all over my screen. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to ask, and I will favorite them and we will get to them. I think we were having just more of a Q&A today. Although I did want to tell you guys about my photo blog idea.
Yeah, tell us.
I'm going to start a photo blog.
Cool.
Well, I think, as you know,
What
I've
does
been
that mean?
struggling being on Instagram, and it's been about 30 days since I've been off it, and I feel great about not being on it. However, I think that it is still necessary form of showing your art and connecting with people, unfortunately. So I've decided to start a photo blog. Sam and I have talked about it a little bit, where I will be able to share what I want in a more intentful and I don't know, intentful. That's not a word. In with more
Intentional?
intent, intentional.
Yeah.
Um, and so I can do like a wedding blog or like a portrait blog or whatever. But then I will also probably just post on Instagram when I put those up. Um, but I found a way to do that without having Instagram on my phone. So that was really the goal, was to still be active on Instagram but not have it on my phone. Yeah, so that's the work.
Everything comes full circle from ripped jeans and mullets to photo blogs, man.
Wow, you should make a T-shirt. That's a quote from Phil.
I love the idea. I mean, I did a similar thing. I haven't posted in a while, but when I
Yeah, I
moved, I
remember.
started the claremonter.com just as a way
The
to post,
hunter.
photos of little adventures and writing more too. But I haven't posted in a little while. But I think there's just, and people who follow me know I haven't posted many photos on Instagram the past couple months either. And I
Yeah.
don't know if we're just all getting to a point where I just don't want to be on it. I feel the pressure to be on it, but I don't want to be on it.
Yeah,
And
same.
it's
Yeah.
hard because it's like, what do? We are teaching people to be photographers. And I think there's a lot of questions about, like, well, how do we get started as a photographer? And yeah, it's a weird balance personally.
Yeah. I've there's a podcast that my partner listened to, and it's all about a YouTuber that had like 1 million followers on Instagram and all this stuff. And one day he's feeling over and he deleted it. And all of his friends were just like, "You could have sold that account, like even if you're over it, or like just like on his case." And he's just after like a month, he's just so relieved and just was just like this constant need to be creating and all this stuff. But it's lost in the stream, even with that many followers. You know, yeah, like thousands, hundreds of thousands of people like your photo, but like to what end? Like, what does it really do after that?
Hmm.
And I think like a blog is a wonderful concept because what photos should be doing, and I think the true power is that they're storytelling. And if you have
Mhm.
no context, like how much do people really engage with photos, or really like Instagram's just become such a marketplace. It's like to go and share more like you're both doing with a blog, and like share a story, have images that help share that story, go a bit deeper. Like I think that's a more powerful way to be using photography. And someone asked like, how do you like getting into no, please talk about being intimidated by a saturated market. And I
Oh,
think that's what Instagram does. There's 1 trillion photos. I
yeah.
go on there and I can see the most amazing photo, and I spend 2 seconds thinking about it, and then I move on to the next thing, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And it has such little actual impact. But to connect with organizations, or to
I mean, I
do a
think that,
blog,
yeah,
maybe connect with a newspaper. I don't know. It's just
yeah.
I feel like there's
I,
more that can be done.
I think at the end of the day, what we're all, well, at least what we're realizing, and I think a lot of people in society are realizing, is like it comes back to like really wanting to be having real connections with people in our local community, in our space. And maybe, yeah, people can have real connections with people online across the world. We do that too, which is amazing. But for photographers who are starting out, does putting in the effort to try to get 1,000 followers around the world
Ugh.
matter as much as actually like meeting face to face with your neighbors and the people in your community who are actually going to hire you to pay, hire you for photography? That's what it's all about. And the number of people who can make a living from being like an Instagram influencer with good with your photography is so low,
Yeah.
and you'll be much more successful doing it at like a small local level.
I appreciate both of your insight. I think also this question came up about the intimidated by a saturated market. I feel like Instagram or social media like makes you feel that way, and that's something that's a personal thing that you have to overcome, I'm sure. But like it's just like it's fake. I don't know. It's like, and this question came up from I got a message. I logged into Instagram for the first time on my computer this morning, and I had like so many messages. I was just like, "There's no way I'm going to get through all this." And one of them was from a student who I think is here, and her question was about being a photographer and feeling like the market is saturated. And I think that is a cause of social media. But to answer your question about that, like, no, like it may feel that way, but we're all individuals as photographers, and we all take photos differently, and people are going to hire you for you and who you are as an artist. And so if you protect your business and you focus on who you are as yourself, your art will be unique, and it won't be the same as everyone else, and you won't get lost in this Instagram kerfuffle of like everyone looks the same and everyone's a photographer. So start your business, be a photographer, do it because you're unique.
But like you said though, it's like you're going to do this blog and you get weddings throughout the season, and you work. Our work with Stanford, like you're published in their magazine for your photography, like that's part of it, and you're still going to post on social media to let people know, because it's an access point. But that's not the end goal. That's not the main thing. You're not taking photos to post on Instagram.
No.
You're taking photos to work with people, to share people's, to capture people's weddings, to do that and connect with people. And that should be the end goal. You're doing it for these people or these organizations versus I'm doing this for a social media following.
Fun story. I already have a photography website. I already have it built. Like I already have things going, and I've already made my first post. Yes, here you go. I'll put it in the group so you can take a look at it. And it's basically me explaining why I'm doing this.
Nice.
In the future, I'm going to proofread and edit more, but I just wanted to get this one out and share it. Someone asked if I had already done it, but I'm using my current website, and Squarespace already has a blog structure built in. So I'll be doing that. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know what I'll be doing and to pay attention to it. And I'll probably do another blog post on the lighting course, and I'll post that tomorrow in case you're having a question about joining the boot camp, because we do start with the live streams tomorrow night.
And we have a couple spots left.
We do.
So if you are interested in it, be sure to sign up.
There is a cap.
Shout out, Michael Doherty just joined right now. So
there you go. Look at that. See?
And I know someone asked about missing the first boot camp. Totally fine. You'll have a replay of all the meetings after the fact. We will be sharing all that, and you also get to be part of the sort of group discussion, all that stuff within Photo and Friends Plus when you join.
Forgot to mention that for this whole month, there's a specific discussion board that I will for sure. Sam will probably be in and out. I don't know now that you're on stateside.
I'm here.
We'll get those alerts faster and immediately more than the normal group. So that is something we'll be paying attention to for the next month, and it will live for the next month, but it will go away at some point, like our wedding boot camp did. There will be replays of the videos, like Sam said. No, you do not need to have taken any of the lessons before we go into tonight's meeting or tomorrow night's meeting. It's more of an introductory, and we'll talk about what you guys want to learn, and we'll have specific Q&As. I'll see your faces. You can raise your hands. But I think it would be helpful after tomorrow night's session if you do make it at least a quarter of the way through the course. So if you have any questions, it'll just help your learning, and it'll keep you accountable for doing the course. And there are some people that have already finished it. Very started it while I was hanging out with her in Italy. I was like, oh my God, don't watch this while we're hanging out.
Oh, did you probably already talked about the wedding. That's so cool.
But it was cool. And Gianluca gave me little gifts for both of you. So I'll have to see you both. But dude, Phil, we need to figure out a way to meet up with people in real life, because it's amazing.
I want to do a poll on where like if we did one in Europe, like how many people could we get? Or if we did one in the States, like where like does Midwest, East Coast, West Coast, like
Where
where do
should
we
we
have?
start doing workshops?
Yeah, because I really want to do
Phil's like,
that.
so much work. I know, Phil.
How about we just like meet up at a brewery and just invite friends to chat
I
You
think
and
know
we
what
should.
I really want to
drink
do
beers?
is a like photo and friends art gallery, and we print out a bunch of
Dude,
people's photos. Like everyone sends
Oh,
the
that would be
best they
cool.
want,
yeah,
and we do like a whole art
Ooh.
gallery with everyone's
like a show,
photos.
like an
And
actual
then
show.
invite
Like
people
a
to
photo show,
come.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like I don't know, it's a silent auction or something, and we have a cause that we do it for.
dude.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
And I had this other idea. We have a lot of ideas. When in
so many
Sheffield
ideas.
in
If
Sicily,
anyone has any questions, we got 10 minutes
yeah,
left too.
there's a
Anyway, we're just
photography. There's a photography studio, but it was like this photographer. It was his office. It was also a studio. It was also a gallery, and it was also a shop. So imagine in Pasadena or Claremont or San Dimas or wherever we have the Photo and Friends studio where we put on classes. We use it as our office. We have like meetups there. We have a gallery there that we show
Yeah,
students work.
Isabel and I were like gung ho about starting a co-working space that
Right, but
for
it's just
like
like
a minute.
yeah,
But
it's just Photo and
Oh,
Friends or Video School and Will Call, I
yeah.
guess. And you know,
Well, we should try for this year to do a gallery at the end
okay,
of the year.
I'm into that.
And we can, because we sort of stopped doing the photo contests, which we were doing every few months or whatever for a while. But like a few years ago, we would do one contest at the end of the year, which was always cool because it was like the best of the best from our students. So maybe we should do that this year again and have students submit their best photos of the year
yeah.
or whatever, and then we pick the top whatever and we print them out. We find a gallery to put them out a show. I could easily find a place in Claremont. They do like photo or art walks. There's a bunch of galleries we could probably
Yeah.
use.
We
Let's
could do it around Giving
Right.
Tuesday and do it as a fundraiser for like a good cause.
yeah.
That would be dope.
Be cool.
Wow, we have a lot to
Also,
talk
Joy
about.
Smith, Joy Smith, welcome to the group. You're in Monterey, California. I'm in Santa
Ooh.
Cruz, so all in the 831.
Here's a question we do have. Sam, this might be good for you.
Oh.
I have so many ideas for photos, landscapes, but the weather is so gray and dull. Is there anything I can do, or should I just wait out the poor weather? Go take photos. Do it anyway.
Go take photos. Even if it's
Photoshop
gray,
sky
I'll-
replacement. Just kidding.
it's a good challenge. Go take an amazing photo in gray weather. I probably would not include too much of the sky if it's just going to be gray. So try and find landscapes that focus more on the foreground elements, whether it's trees or mountains or whatever it may be. And also sometimes at sunset or sunrise, you can still get beautiful sunlight that illuminates all that gray cloud coverage. But yeah, you just gotta get creative and try different things. Maybe try and find some water, do some long exposure with water. Long exposure with clouds can be really cool because it can get kind of interesting looking. Okay, we also got Bill Benoist in San Jose. I think we need to have one in my neck of the wood, guys.
Hey, find the gallery and we're there. That's fine.
Find the gallery and we're there. All right, here's another question. If someone wants more edits, how much is a reasonable price per pick? This is going to be dependent on what you're doing.
In my contracts, I always say that this is how much I'm going to charge for whatever the initial thing is I'm going to do, and I'll give X amount of edits. Anything after the fact will be at a certain rate. So it'll be at $100 per hour or at $50 an hour. So I'm willing to keep doing edits, but we agree on that if you go beyond the 3 edits, I'm going to charge an hourly rate of this.
However long it takes you to edit?
Just of time to work. So, you just got to be upfront of how much time it's going to take you to do it, but you're going to charge an hourly rate for the work that they're asking you to do outside of the scope of the initial agreed upon work.
I do the same thing for weddings. However, for headshots, I only provide about 4 or 5 photos. And if they want extra edits after that, I charge about $50 a headshot. But speaking to Sam, like I know how long it takes me to work on a headshot, and it's about, I mean, you could do the math reverse, like it's about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. So that means I'm making, $25 to $50 an hour. So another question here, maybe this is for Phil. Is there a course that covers taking photos in RAW? I mean, most of them.
Taking photos in RAW, yeah.
The master class.
All of our
We
courses, we cover that. The photography masterclass talks about RAW versus JPEG photos. Do you have a question about that we can answer right now?
Yeah. I mean, we all take photos in RAW all the time.
The question was, and do you recommend using RAW?
Yeah.
Yeah, right after that. Which I think for all of us would be that shoot in RAW always.
Always shoot in RAW. We, if you can. That's just going to give you the most amount of range to edit in the end and the most amount of information from your camera, and you'll be using your camera to its full potential, which, if you're investing that much money in that. I'm a little confused by this question. Would you recommend being licensed while taking free photos for a portfolio and practicing? I'm not sure. License, like a business license?
Like a business license?
Or licensing the photos, like if you're going to take photos for free for people, but you still want to
maybe clarify that a little bit. But I'm business license, you should have it's smart to have a business license when you're taking photos for your business. But it's not always necessary, and you can always do like a DBA. But you should be following proper business practices in whatever country, state, city, province, community you're in.
I mean, the other question is, or kind of related, is like being insured, which is a smart idea.
Oh yeah,
and
yes.
If you're doing like wedding photography, some like places require insurance.
Yeah, and yes, a business license. If you're making over a certain amount of money, depending on your area, you should have a business license. But if you're not selling your photos and it's just for fun, you don't need to do that. If you're selling prints, you need a specific, different business license because that's a physical product in the United States. But again, it depends on locally where you're at.
I focus on just taking photos. If you start getting clients and starts becoming a thing,
good point.
The first year you might take a hit in taxes because it's going to be sole proprietorship. But if you're wanting to be professional, like make sure you save all the receipts, you document the money coming in, like just have documentation. And after that first year of you getting started, and it's just you doing it as your own name, then you need to start a business license if you really get going. And then that's a whole nother discussion. But if you're just getting started,
you don't need a business license.
Work with people.
Yeah.
Keep track of your expenses.
To build your website.
Yeah.
You don't need a business license to do that.
Yeah.
Here's a quick question. We got 2 minutes left. How can you tell how much to increase color saturation luminance for RAW photos? It's different for every camera.
Well, it's personal preference. How you want to edit your photos is up to you. And for RAW photography, the nice thing is that you have the most latitude that your camera can offer. So how saturated do you want it to be? Do you want it to be black and white with no saturation?
I take out all the saturation. Yeah.
Purely personal preference. I think one thing that does help is if you can look at the histogram, there's a little mountain looking thing. Like this is highlight. One side's highlights, one side's blacks, and you want it to be healthy in the middle or healthy throughout. I don't know. That's a hard thing to get into. That's a lot to get into.
That's nice though. Good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's about all the questions we have, unless you guys see any others I'm missing.
The Sing Act Dance Forever. I don't want to get a business license until I'm ready to charge money. I'm needing photos to build my site. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just start with taking photos, build out your website, all those things. And just if you start doing that now, by December you might be getting work. So right now, start like taking photos of receipts of money that you're spending on your stuff. Just track the money flow. That's the main thing when it comes to business, is that you're going to want to have some financial records.
Because if you ever get audited, you'd want to see that, but probably not going to happen.
Not if you're just getting started. Yeah. So
anyway, we got 1 minute left.
No, I'm so glad you're here. This is such a surprise.
When was the last time the 3 of us were on a live stream together?
Yeah,
Come
will
on.
we be back next week?
I
Talk money?
can. Yes, I'm shooting a wedding in Texas next weekend. So I'll be driving out there from Tennessee, but I think I can stop and pull over.
All right, we'll talk offline. Make sure everyone you are in the Plus community. That's where we put the events for all our live streams. So plus.photographyandfriends.com. And join the lighting boot camp.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you next week or maybe the following week. And how do I stop this? Finish? Okay. Click finish.
Bye,
End
everyone.
broadcast.